Hello. How's everybody? Just get a little sip of something. While I'm sipping something, do you remember these blue bracelets, anybody? They say 40 years of faith. There's a basket of them. They, 10 years ago, when we were 30 in this building, but 40 as a church, we ordered those, and they have been resurrected, if you would like one. They'll probably turn back up in the summer. So 40 years is a really long time, isn't it? A lot of friends, a lot of joy, a lot of Sunday services. I was thinking about all the potlucks. How many pots of coffee have been made in this building? How many books? How many classes? You know, hundreds of people have walked in and out of this building over the years. I've been walking in and out of here for 25 years. And I just briefly, Donna Gilsdorf, our founder, was my totally beloved mentor, my friend. She was the one who inspired me to take a look at a spiritual awakening within myself, along with B. Rogers, who, like me, is a licensed teacher and my hero. So, you know, these guys, you know, their wisdom lives here, you know, in these walls. You know, always will. And every person who's come and gone, including all of you, you know, you imprint something here. Your consciousness is here. And that's some of the beauty of celebrating an anniversary like this. So I don't know about you. My time here so far has been really well spent. So yay, Unity Church of Rochester. Okay. So time. How do we make the most of time in our lives? I was thinking about it. I was thinking, I recently had a birthday. The church was having these kind of double anniversary. And, you know, time, you know, we say spiritually, time doesn't really exist. And time is a social construct. It doesn't mean it isn't real. It just means that man invented it, I guess, to a degree. The degree that we use it in the physical world. You know, God, of course, you know, is the ultimate timekeeper. We've got the sun, we've got the moon. But, you know, population has exploded since then, and, you know, we have communities, we have societies, and we can't function in those without some kind of organized system of time. Charles Fillmore defines time as the limitation of man's consciousness of space. Time is the measure that man gives to passing events. The only power that time has is the power man imparts to it. So time's limiting because it's a human thing. It's not a God thing. And because it's a human thing, over the centuries, we've really given time a lot of say over really every aspect of our lives. Fillmore goes on to say, from the spiritual viewpoint, there is no such thing as time in the way man has come to regard it. So the Egyptians made the first sundials around 3500 BC. They planted a stick in the ground and they watched the sun, you know, in relation to the stick. And, you know, now technology, you know, is so precise. We measure things to fractions of seconds, you know. But like I said, we have to have this. You know, we have to have, you know, physical time. You couldn't live in a physical world without keeping time. You know, and I've talked about this before, time here. And, you know, I remember saying something like, can you imagine what it'd be like if you just showed up for work anytime you wanted? You know, you showed up at the salon when you needed a trim, you know, showed up at the doctor. It'd be chaos very fast, very fast. Two of the biggest complaints that I think we all hear about time is that it goes by too quickly, or there's not enough of it. Generally speaking, most of us just want more time, whether it's in our lifespan or our vacation or our curfew or whatever it is. So here's the thought. If we got into the consciousness of making all of our time full and meaningful, instead of trying to extend it, over time, we would become less obsessed about our schedules. We the focus would become more about what we're doing, what we're being, than what we're doing as the days passed. So without meaning to, we've developed, most of us, in some way or another, this unhealthy relationship with time that we have. And especially in regard to aging. And a bunch of us just happen to be talking about this morning. According to the greeting card industry, once you turn 30, it's all downhill after that. All of a sudden the jokes are grim reapers and wrinkles and fading health, and it's no wonder we're so scared of it, right? Because we've bought into what society is feeding us about aging. And as a result of that, we spend a whole lot of time and thought doing whatever we can to just stop it, at least slow it down, Birthdays become like this sense of stress instead of a sense of joy. We get rigidly attached to what we think are normal times, bedtimes, meal times. We have certain times you can eat certain foods. It's like, you're having cereal for breakfast. Like what? You're going to bed. It's only 7:30. Who assigns these things? In the book The Prophet, Gibran says this: you would measure time, the measured and the immeasurable. You would adjust your conduct and even direct the course of your spirit according to hours and seasons. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream. So is it what we perceive as a lack of time that causes us fear and stress, or is it how we are perceiving time itself? And perception is everything if we want to be able to see time in some sort of a spiritual way. You've heard people say, like on their birthday, another year older and deeper in debt, and I had a birthday recently. I had a decade birthday. I threw a really good party. I had this great party because I'm like, another year, let's have cake. There's a lot of ways you can look at things. And there are so many statistics, okay? You spend a third of your life sleeping. You spend 2,000 hours a year at work, so multiply that by many, many years. You spend 6,500 hours of your life cleaning. 15,000 hours you're at school. And I don't even know how long we wait in lines. Lots of those. So, the truth is the majority of our lives are spent, a lot of it, working, studying, doing what seem like mundane tasks. And that's not a depressing thing to say. That's what life is. It's these moments. But we label them. We label them whether, things are good or things are bad. We label things in our heads like this is something I have to get through. We don't want to kill time. That whole phrase, killing time. No. Gibran also said in another one about not seeking friends with hours to kill, but seeking them with hours to live. And that's how we, would like to approach everything. Because we know that the real peace and happiness is in this moment, this now moment. And that peace and happiness is just as much a part of you and able to express itself when you're taking out the garbage as it can when you're laying on the beach. Okay, but again, you have this stubbornness in your mind thinking no. And that's because of how you've assigned meaning to things. So if you can find a way to love everything you're doing as you are doing it, things, I want to say, the world would be a better place, but it would. Because your own personal world would be calmer, and you would extend this calm out into your life. We get into this mentality, things will be better when. Well, when what? I've always used an example of the work week because, there's a 7-day week. You work 5 of them, but hopefully not more. So do the math, working for the weekend, the Monday blues, hump day. Thank God it's Friday. It's like we're consciously spending 5 full days trying to get through as fast as we can, so we'll have 2 days that we think are going to be the best ones. That time, those 48 hours are special, more than the other ones. So in the meantime, daylight's burning. So do we want to spend our lives waiting for things to be over, complaining about what we have to do every day? Or can we realize that when we're doing this, we're sacrificing the present for the future? And you don't even know what the future is, okay? When we're lamenting over what we could be doing if we didn't have to do, okay? Again, you're denying the present moment by wishing it was something else. And we don't think of that as judgmental thinking, but it is. We're judging things a certain way. Okay. I got into one of my bump and I lost my spot. So finding some semblance of good, some semblance of, peace or something, the lesson, sense of learning something, let that be a motivation for doing anything that we do. Finding, your challenge can just be, what can I find in this next work day? That's great, that I didn't realize before. Challenge yourself to do something different about those thoughts. Really, the only time wasted, I was thinking about this, the only time you're wasting is the time that you're actually spending wallowing in negativity. The time that you're being negative and the times that you're wishing that something was different. That's wasted time. There's no lesson in that, I don't think, except you learn what a waste of time that is. Because no matter how you spend your days, no matter what meeting you have tomorrow morning or what errands you have this afternoon, we have to begin believing that every moment of our lives is the treasure that it is, because it is. I could say, how many of you would agree with me that every minute in life is a treasure? And every one of you. So you put your hand up. Right? Every minute. But, it's hard to live up to that. It's easy to say, right? And what about living life to the fullest? This is like a popular thing to say. One of my kids' friends has that on his arm about living life to the fullest. And, we start doing that usually after we have a really big health scare or we have some traumatic something happen to us that we come out of unscathed. And, we'll say things like, from this minute forward, I'm going to cherish it all. Well, what have you been doing up until that moment, right? And you say, I'm going to travel, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to do. But we don't have to wait for a near-death experience. We don't have to wait for anything to appreciate what's in front of us. Changes in perspective are what leads to changes in consciousness. And you make these changes by allowing spirit to work through you, in you, at the moment you choose. You don't have to wait for a catastrophe. And you don't have to continue trying to do everything yourself. Spirit is working through you. We start to make these subtle changes in the way we think, in our perspective. And it takes a lot of practice. Because, as I said, you're a spiritual being, you're in a physical world, and you're going to get, there's a lot of problems if we don't respect the boundaries of time, because we're not the only one that it's important to. It's important to everybody that we're coming in contact with. So being clear, there are things in life that you're going to need to be done that you don't want to do. You're likely going to go to work and school, and chances are there's going to be aspects of both of those things that you don't like very much. There are people that are going to be unpleasant and get in your way. There are lines you are going to have to wait in. There's going to be traffic jams that are going to hold you up. I-75 will still be closed in 10 years, 20. And these things can trigger our negative emotions. You can't help it. It just does. So it's all about changing the mindset so that we're not characterizing things as boring, wasting time, this is bad. When we stop judging every little thing, the outcome of that is you begin to accept every little thing in some way or another. You'd be surprised how much more you appreciate life when you go with the flow of it. Okay, so let's see. So I want to get into just like a few ways then, spend it to the fullest. So how do you do it? There's a lot of little things that you can change to change that perspective. The first thing is think about the things that you're doing in your life that you think you don't want to do and ask yourself, do I need to be doing it? It's so simple. It's so silly. It's so, we do so many things because we should, because, if we don't, I'm going to hurt this one's feelings, or people do things just because, I've always done it this way, it's too much of a hassle to change. So yeah, because it's too much of a hassle, just waste more time on it, What do we want to do to change this? And if you're doing things in your life that you don't need to be doing, and there are, boundaries to things. But if there's things that you're not doing, just stop doing them. Really, it sounds so easy, but we have to evaluate what we spend our time doing. You might not be able to get out of, say, like grocery shopping or something, but, maybe you have some volunteer commitment or something that you can drop. And I picked that on purpose because it's like, drop a volunteer opportunity. This is another thing that just because something served us in our time at one point, it doesn't mean it always will. You can drop things. My dad used to tell me that I was a free agent, and that just means, within reason, within kindness to other people, the normal whatevers, you need to do what you want to do in life. That's not a selfish thing. Multitasking. Forget it. It doesn't work. That is my opinion. It just doesn't work. You think, I'm going to spend time, I'm going to gain some minutes and gain some time by doing many things at once. To a degree, you can do it. You can fold laundry, while your dinner's cooking. We can walk and chew gum. We can do that stuff. But in a lot of cases, it's just dangerous. It just is. Because if you're literally attempting to do more than one thing at one time, it is impossible to give any one of those things your 100% attention, your 100% time and care. Because when we do way too much and we're starting to juggle, you're not saving time, you're wasting time, because now you're making mistakes, you're out of focus, you're going back to fix things. It just does, things are a lot more meaningful when you give them the time that they need, It's a lot less stressful also. Ecclesiastes, my friend Paul, supports that. He reminds us that there is a time for everything and a season for everything under heaven. Everybody knows that. It also says the wise heart will know the proper time and procedure, for there is a proper time and procedure for every matter. So the most important thing, I think, to do to appreciate the time that we have here is to make sure that we make time for ourselves. That's probably the biggest thing. And again, it's something like, how are we creating more time by taking time to ourselves? And you're doing that because you're calming your mind. You're calming everything around you. You're more able to, your focus is clearer, more clarity. It's just you actually get more things accomplished because you're in a better head. You're not resenting everything you're doing. You're taking things as it comes. You're going with the flow. And so giving yourself that time to yourself is also a way to remind yourself of how valuable you are. If X, Y, and Z is valuable enough to be on your schedule every single day for the past 20 years, then certainly you can find 15 minutes. I was going to say 5. I'm not saying 5 anymore. I'm saying 15. You can find 15 minutes, I'm pounding again, of quiet time a day. You can. So just please find it. Just find it. Because every little adjustment we make, we start to view our time differently. We start to appreciate it more. Including ourselves in our own schedule ensures us that we at least have this amount of time for ourselves in an otherwise busy schedule. People are busy, you know, that's a fact. It's easy for me to say now that I'm retired. I'm looking at younger people who are probably very still hard at work. But we can make time for ourselves. We can. So this big secret to living life to the fullest is to simply adjust your thinking. So you're grateful for every task, that you are well enough, strong enough, wise enough, and have the courage enough and patience enough to perform. Be grateful for everything that you gave your best to. And be thankful to be called upon for any service that you can do for somebody else. Living every moment to the fullest means we do our best to bring joy and gratitude into our situations. It means that we're not judging our activities as good or bad, big or small, exciting or boring. And you do that just a little bit at a time. It takes time to make a bad habit. It takes time to break one. And negative thinking is a bad habit. So just these little changes in your self-talk can change your perception of things. It's about playing around with our thinking. I started going to a gym. I started doing personal training 6 weeks ago. And the first couple of weeks, it was when things were like super hard in my head. I'm like begging God. I'm like, please, just let me get through the next one. It was more like I was counting down to the end. You know, I'm trying to will a certain kind of will. You know, but now it's like I'm thinking, no, you know, I'm thinking about how much I can do it. I'm thinking, you know, yeah, you know, if you want to give me 8, give me 10. You know, it's these, and it sounds so silly. It's the littlest things like that. I was thinking about mopping the kitchen floor. The kitchen floor, I wanted to say I don't know where all the cat hair comes from. Of course I do. The cats. But instead of, I started to think, because I like to be barefoot almost all the time, I started to think of how nice the floors feel when they're clean. Like, you can tell the difference. It's a little silly thing, but it's not. It's not. This is how you rewire yourself to play with your thinking. You know, whether you're complaining out loud, whether it's in your head, we know the anxiety that comes when we're anticipating something we think is bad. All of it's just a story. And so as soon as we feel this negativity, it's right in that moment we change. We tweak it, we adjust it, we change it. Yeah. And you know what, for waiting, bring things with you for Pete's sake. Bring something to do with you if you know you're going to have to wait. People have such a problem with waiting. I don't know, I could go into a whole thing about waiting. So gentle adjustments. I read somewhere that, you know, when we're into this negative pattern, we just need a small, gentle adjustment. And so lastly here, you only live once, live life to the fullest. Don't just make it something you see on a mug, on a pillow. Take it to heart. You know, you don't have to travel around the world. You don't have to write a book. You can. But it's not about grand gestures, you know. It's about the attitude that we bring every single day. It's about getting into these habits of smiling before you get out of bed, starting things on a positive note. We don't want to live our lives waiting for the weekend, because as corny as it sounds, weekend may never come. We know that. So, be fully present every minute, and that's how you're going to enjoy the fullness of your time, and it is full.